Hey, what is up all my social climbing friends? It's Dustin and I'm back with another video. In this video, I want to discuss the disappearance of Brittanee Drexel. Now, if you don't know, I'm from North Carolina, I'm from Charlotte, and I used to frequent Myrtle Beach quite a lot as a kid. I've spent many summers there. I've went there on spring break, and a lot of people go there for graduation and different things. And this case has always kind of been like near and dear to my heart because I followed this. When I tell you that I used to Google this to see if there was any case updates every single month, I used to Google it every single month to see if there was any case updates. So it came as quite a shock to me when this case came out as solved. So I wanted to sit down and give you the complete rundown of Brittanee Drexel and her disappearance because this is such a sad thing. It's so sad that this happened to Brittanee Drexel's family. I felt so bad for her parents, especially her mother. During all of this, I saw all the news reports. I saw everything on TV because I was kind of somewhat local to the situation, being that I only live like 5 hours away from there. So I wanted to come on here and share Brittanee Drexel's story now that it's solved. So if you're here for that, stay tuned to this video.
Now we turn to the frantic search for a missing New York teen. The last time anyone heard from Brittanee Drexel was on Saturday night when she sent a text message to one of her friends. Without getting permission from her mother, 17-year-old Brittanee Drexel left Rochester, New York for a spring break trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She was last spotted here at the Bar Harbor Hotel Saturday night. Her whereabouts since are unknown. Family and friends traveled to Myrtle Beach in hopes of tracking down the high school junior.
It's been horrible because I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's alive. She left all her clothing, her hair stuff, everything. It's just not like Brittanee. Something's wrong.
In April of 2009, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina was packed with teenagers who had come to enjoy their spring break. Amongst them was 17-year-old Brittanee Drexel, who had come all the way from New York to forget a difficult situation at home and have some fun. However, the exciting trip turned into a years-long nightmare when Brittanee walked out of a hotel and vanished without a trace. Brittanee Drexel was born in Rochester, New York on October 7, 1991 to an unmarried teen couple, Dawn and John. Since birth, Brittanee had a condition in her right eye called persistent hyperplastic primary vitreous, which leads to the overgrowing of hyaloid vasculature within the vitreous. The ocular developmental defect required several surgeries and left Brittanee blind in that eye. She used contact lenses later in life to hide the eye's tendency to wander. Shortly after her daughter's birth, Dawn married a man named Chad Drexel, who adopted Brittanee at the time and raised her as his own. The family lived together in the Rochester suburb of Chile, where she attended Gates High School. Brittanee grew up to be one of those people who got along with everybody, described as having a beautiful and bright soul. Brittanee absolutely loved life and had many hopes and dreams. She aspired to be a model, become an OB nurse, get married and raise a family of her own. Brittanee was also a fantastic soccer player. As her mother later recalled, Brittanee's heart was soccer. She was small, but boy, she could run fast, at lightning speed right down the field. Brittanee's grandparents, Al and Carol Wagner, were her biggest fans. They would come to see their granddaughter play in every single match and eventually took a habit of giving Brittanee $5 a goal. That year, she made 23 goals. Besides running in the field, Brittanee enjoyed going out with friends, shopping, exploring. Overall, Brittanee was a carefree and energetic young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. However, things would change quite drastically when the teenager's parents began to have problems in their relationship by 2008. Things had gotten so bad Dawn and Chad separated and he moved out of the family home. Soon after, Brittanee's passion for soccer notably lessened and her grades began to slip. When her parents initiated divorce proceedings in 2009, Brittanee's mental state worsened even more. She desperately needed not just security and stability, but also something fun and exciting in her life. A trip to Myrtle Beach for spring break sounded like the perfect option.
Myrtle Beach and the Grand Strand, home to 60 miles of white sandy beaches, more than 80 award-winning golf courses, and a seemingly endless array of dining and entertainment options, coming together to make this vibrant stretch of Carolina coastline the ultimate vacation destination.
3 of Brittanee's friends were going to Myrtle Beach that April and she wanted to go with them. However, when Brittanee presented the idea to her mother, she immediately refused. Dawn did not know the other teenagers and there were no adults joining them on the trip. In addition, Dawn just had a weird, ominous feeling that something terrible would happen if she let Brittanee go. The mother and daughter argued for a while, and Brittanee changed her mind and asked if she could stay at a friend's house for a couple of days to calm down. A few days later, when Dawn talked to Brittanee on the phone, things seemed to be back to normal. Before the ending of the call, Brittanee said, "Mom, I'll see you tomorrow. I love you." At that moment, Dawn could not have known that tomorrow would never come. And that's what's so sad about this and so dangerous about traveling when you're young. We don't really think about it. And I've even taken trips when I was like 17. I would drive like 4 and 5 hours away. You don't really think about it in the moment, but that is so dangerous. And I don't think that teenagers really understand the gravity of the danger that they put themselves in when they're so far away from home, not around people that they know or people that they can trust. It just makes for a very, very bad situation. So now let's talk about the disappearance. On the evening of Saturday, April 25th, 2009, Dawn surprisingly saw her daughter's boyfriend, John Greco's name, on the screen of her phone while at a barbecue with her 2 children. When Dawn answered the call, she received the news she definitely was not prepared to hear. Brittanee had traveled to Myrtle Beach despite her refusal, and nobody knew where the teenager was. Apparently, Brittanee had left her friends with whom she was staying at the Bar Harbor Hotel at the south end of Myrtle Beach around 8 p.m. that evening to visit a longtime friend at the Blue Water Resort. She walked the 1.5 mile distance down South Ocean Boulevard, met her friend, and left back to her hotel around 8:45 p.m. While on the way, Brittanee had been texting with John, who had stayed in Rochester due to work, but the messages had suddenly stopped at 9:15 p.m. Before that moment, Brittanee had been replying to John's messages pretty much immediately, so he got a feeling almost straight away that something had happened, especially because John then texted Brittanee that he was going to call her mother and tell her that she was in Myrtle Beach if she did not reply, and still nothing. As Brittanee did not answer calls either, John began calling her friends at Myrtle Beach, asking if they knew what was going on. No one had seen or heard from Brittanee since she left for the Blue Water Resort. John began to feel increasingly worried and decided it was better to contact her parents.
Brittanee Drexel was dating John Greco when she went missing in 2009. He was here in the Rochester area texting her when she disappeared.
She got into a fight with her friends when she was down there, and I was telling her just to have a good time and try to enjoy the time that she had left.
He was there with family, searching for Brittanee from the very beginning, and 2 years later he wears a constant reminder of her.
Right now I'm wearing her ring, and pretty much there is nothing in my house that doesn't remind me of her.
For Dawn, it was a complete shock to find out Brittanee was in Myrtle Beach. That very same day, Brittanee had called her mother saying she was indeed at the beach, but she did not mention the exact location. Dawn had not thought anything of it after all. It was 80 degrees in Rochester that day, and locals often called Lake Ontario the beach. In addition, Brittanee had simply never done anything like this. It did not make any sense at all. Still, the reality of her baby girl being missing several states away hit Dawn straight on the face. She needed to find Brittanee. After hanging up with John, Dawn called Chad to inform him about the situation and then contacted the Rochester Police Department as she was not sure how to get a hold of the Myrtle Beach Department. And here's where we're going to get into the investigation. Now, this investigation is very long and it's very lengthy. There were some people that were accused that people really thought had kidnapped Brittanee, but it turned out that they didn't. I'm going to tell you guys all about it. I was really hopeful when all of this came out that they were going to find out who did this, and I wasn't necessarily sure that the person that they were accusing was guilty. I'm glad that this person is now proven to be innocent, but there was some very sketchy stuff going on. So let's get into it. A massive search began the following morning for Brittanee, and Myrtle Beach police were able to find CCTV footage from the Blue Water Resort showing Brittanee arriving wearing a black and white tank top and flip-flops and shorts carrying a beige purse. The same camera captured Brittanee leaving at 8:45 p.m., and it didn't take the investigators long to locate the people Brittanee had been visiting. One of them was a 20-year-old from Rochester, Peter Browitz, who was staying in Myrtle Beach with 4 of his friends, Anthony Schmizzy, Philip Watson, Keith Cummings, and Matthew Abrams. Peter was the only one who knew Brittanee beforehand, but the 4 others briefly met her on Friday night, April 24th at Club Kryptonite. According to Peter and his friends, they saw Brittanee again the following morning on the beach near the Blue Water Resort between 11 a.m. and noon. None of the 5 men saw Brittanee again. The police interviewed Peter and his friends, after which they stated that no one had been ruled in or out at this point. There was no evidence suggesting that any of the men had something to do with Brittanee's disappearance, but it did not mean it could not be found later. When the investigators searched Brittanee's hotel room, they found all of her belongings except her purse and cell phone. Alarmingly, when the phone's network pings were checked, it was noted that they had stopped abruptly early on the morning of April 26th. Before that last ping occurred, near the Charleston-Georgetown county line, it was 50 to 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach. There was absolutely no reason for Brittanee to travel there voluntarily. Despite extensive searches in the area, no signs of Brittanee were found. It seemed like Brittanee had vanished into thin air, water, or whatever, and all the search efforts turned up nothing. Dawn and John drove to Myrtle Beach that day after finding out that Brittanee had disappeared. Apparently, Peter Browitz had not been the most cooperative person. As Dawn said, we had Peter on the phone 3 or 4 times asking why he didn't call the cops and why he wasn't out looking for her, and he just said he wasn't a babysitter. While Peter was not officially a person of interest, some found it suspicious he checked out of the Blue Water Resort the following morning around 1 a.m. April 26th, just after Brittanee went missing. And I remember this going down, and I remember thinking, this is very sketchy. And I really did think that he could have had something to do with this, because it was very sketchy that he would not cooperate in helping find someone that went missing. It just sent up a major red flag for me, and I think it sent up a red flag for everyone else. Peter and Dawn would later have several confrontations on the television show Dr. Phil, in which he denied knowing anything about what had happened to Brittanee, saying his name was being dragged through the mud.
When I was accused, not accused, but person of interest, there should be no reason whatsoever for me to be automatically thrown under the bus like that. That's being thrown under the bus, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Chad, go ahead. All right, let's let Chad speak. Chad, go ahead.
All right, so Peter, how old are you?
20.
You're 20. How old's my daughter?
17.
So you knew you were hanging out with a minor out of state, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my first question. And you had her in your hotel room with your friends who are much older than her as well, right?
One was 19, another one was 20.
Right,
and,
so my point
yeah.
here is, you said you knew that the atmosphere down there was not safe, correct?
Correct.
So why didn't you step up and say, it doesn't matter, Brittanee, let me take you so-and-so. I can hear that you had an argument with John. Why?
Okay, first of all, it's because I'm on spring break. I'm not there to babysit anybody. I don't know Brittanee like that, but as I know, she was down there with how many other friends? She was at 2 different hotels. I don't know what they did the whole week.
Peter, you're throwing yourself under the bus. You're throwing yourself under the bus.
While there was still no evidence linking Peter to the disappearance, as the days and then months and then years proceeded to pass without any sign of Brittanee, it is understandable that her family became desperate. Dawn eventually relocated to Myrtle Beach permanently to be close to where her daughter was last seen, and to be able to monitor the investigation. Still, for many years, there was no progress in the case, and Brittanee Drexel's fate remained a mystery. In June 2016, the FBI held a press conference and announced the first major development in the case in years. The news was crushing. Agent David Thomas said investigators believe Brittanee was abducted on April 25, 2009 in the vicinity of the Blue Water Resort, taken somewhere in Georgetown, and killed shortly after. The FBI also announced they were offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. A couple of months later, the FBI said 2 jailhouse informants had named father and son Sean and Timothy Taylor as potential suspects. One of the informants, Taquan Brown, said Brittanee had been kidnapped and taken an hour south to McClellanville in a so-called stash house. According to Taquan, when he visited the house, he saw Brittanee being sexually assaulted by Timothy. Taquan alleged later that he witnessed Timothy pistol whipping Brittanee and taking her out of view before shooting her twice. Finally, Taquan claimed he saw a body being dumped in a pond full of alligators. Following the horrifying claims, investigators searched the stash house and the pits and ponds and found nothing.
The federal government believes that Brittanee Drexel's cell phone was located in McClellanville at one point in time.
Right.
And the only point that matters to us is that Deshaun Taylor did not have that cell phone at any time.
I think after 7 years of just not having any answers, the only certainty that the federal government has is that a cell phone registered to Brittanee Drexel last pinged in the McClellanville area. Now, why it involves Deshaun is because Deshaun was one of 8 individuals that this jailhouse rat decided to specifically name in this made-up, concocted story.
Before long, Brittanee's case went cold again. It would take another 6 long years before her family would finally get answers. Now we're going to talk about Raymond Moody for a minute. He's just a slime ball, just the worst kind of person that you could possibly ever imagine. And he was actually a person of interest when this case kicked off and Brittanee went missing. How he slipped through the cracks and he was not caught sooner, but what happened next just completely blew my mind. In May 2022, something almost unbelievable would happen. A 62-year-old man and convicted sex offender named Raymond Moody walked into his lawyer's office and turned himself in because of an obstruction of justice charge. And then soon after that, on May 4th, Raymond confessed to something he had held a secret for 13 years. He was the one who kidnapped and murdered Brittanee Drexel. Following the confession, the FBI headed to the potential location of the teenager's remains that was provided by Raymond. During the 3-day excavation, the investigators located human remains buried about 4 feet into the ground in the woods off a private gated drive outside of Georgetown.
We begin with breaking news tonight: the discovery of human remains in a rural area of South Carolina. The discovery comes amid a new series of developments in the case of Brittanee Drexel, the childlike teen who disappeared during a trip to Myrtle Beach 13 years ago. Now, the remains were found on this property in Georgetown County in South Carolina. It's about an hour from Myrtle Beach and just over 2 miles from the motel where Raymond Moody, a person of interest in the case, was living at the time of Brittanee Drexel's disappearance. Now, police are not saying for whom they were searching when those remains were found. Moody remains in jail on an obstruction of justice charge. The remains, of course, have yet to be identified. That depends on lab work. Now, when 13 Wham's Ginny Ryan asked today about the search that led to this discovery, an FBI source would neither confirm nor deny if it was connected to the Drexel case. We, of course, will continue to follow these developments.
On May 15th, those remains were confirmed to belong to Brittanee Drexel through DNA and dental records. Over a decade-long search had finally ended. Now, the sad thing is that Raymond Moody was first named a person of interest in Brittanee's disappearance back in 2012, like I just mentioned. He was stopped for speeding in nearby Surfside the day after the teenager disappeared. In 2011, investigators searched his room at the Sunset Lodge about 8 miles away from where Brittanee's cell phone last sent off a ping. But nothing came of it, and he slipped through the cracks. The torment of Brittanee's family would have ended long ago had they have just followed up. After finally getting her daughter back, Dawn gave the statement saying, "I've been waiting for this day for 13 years, ever since the day Brittanee disappeared. She had her whole life ahead of her, and this monster took it away. I'm glad that he's behind bars so that he can't hurt anyone else's child." According to the arrest warrant, Raymond Moody killed Brittanee by strangling her the day she went missing and buried her the morning of April 26th. He is now being charged with murder, kidnapping, and first-degree criminal sexual misconduct. And these charges are currently death penalty eligible, and Raymond will make his initial court appearance in July. While Brittanee Drexel's loved ones hope for a different outcome, there is some peace in knowing that she has not been suffering all these years.
That's one thing that, we're going to look forward to is to get justice for Brittanee. I want people to know out there that Brittanee's legacy is going to live on.
And that is Brittanee Drexel's case, you guys. I remember this being such a big thing. I remember watching videos about this, and I remember being so sad. I think there's only one other true crime channel that has ever covered this, and that was Danielle Holland. She is from North Carolina as well. Her video was very in-depth and well put together, and I was so happy that somebody covered this and gave voice to Brittanee on YouTube. And it kind of feels like a full circle moment sitting here and actually being able to share this with you as a solved case because I've followed it so long. But you guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please remain respectful in the comments because you never know who's going to watch these videos. But aside from all of that, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.